It's very far above my expectation.
Show the customers what we can do with our product.
Cigi technology staff have begun meeting with customers in key international markets during a series of new crop seminars promoting Canadian wheat and discussing the quality of the 2012 Western Canadian wheat crop. During missions to Southeast Asia, Latin America, Europe, the Middle East, and North Africa, taking place between November and January, Cigi staff are presenting data generated from analysis done in Cigi's pilot facilities. These face-to-face opportunities are important for both Cigi and the customers, says Ashok Sarkar, head of milling technology at Cigi.
It is important because, first of all, you cannot replace that face-to-face direct contact. Our job is to help people understand the information, help people, the buyers, millers, etc., to understand the quality and how they can best use this information to create their blend mixes, because they not only buy from Canada but from other sources as well, so they can plan their wheat purchasing according to the quality that they see in Canadian crop versus other crops.
Elaine Sapinik, head of analytical services, says the data helps customers prepare for the transition from last year's crop to this year's crop, alerting them to any quality differences that could impact their processing.
Customers are always concerned about how crop quality changes from one year to another because obviously different things that happen during the growing season may be different than this year than they were from last year. And if there's going to be changes in the quality of the wheat that they're using as they transition from last year's crop to this new crop and harvest, they need to know how to deal with that wheat and what type of considerations they need to make in order to provide very little change and that their customers don't notice that change in the flour or semolina as well.
Since early October, staff have been evaluating new crop samples in Cigi's Analytical Services Lab, mill, bakery, noodle, and pasta plants. These evaluations showed the 2012 Western Canadian wheat crop to be of good quality.
And the grade distribution has been very good. The number of samples we received, most of them graded in 1s and 2s. There were very few composites for number 3, which lined up pretty well with what CGC has reported and also from other sources. So that in itself is a good assurance of good quality crop when you get high percentage grading in number 1 and number 2.
Protein content was higher than what we saw last year, and protein is an important functional characteristic that provides benefits in end products such as higher loaf volume, better pasta cooking quality, so that will be an important consideration. Flour color has been similar to last year, and freenograph properties slightly lower absorption than last year, but probably equal to or maybe slight improvement in strength characteristics.
The information generated by Cigi staff provides customers with an in-depth report card on a number of quality characteristics, from the protein content of the wheat to flour quality and how the flour performs in baking tests and in the production of noodles and pasta. In assessing end product quality, Cigi's evaluations are designed to measure the characteristics consumers expect when purchasing a particular product, such as noodles.
Typically for noodles, you're looking at two main characteristics in terms of end product quality. One is the color of the noodles and whether the color stays a longer time. Say, for example, if we take one aspect, the noodles once they are made, especially yellow alkaline noodles, you like the color to be bright yellow and stay bright yellow for a longer time. And so we assess the product right after processing and follow it over time for its color retention ability. The other one is now once the consumer buys the product, they look at the brightness. A bright product tends to mean it's a good fresh product, so it has to have good texture characteristics. Texture based on their preference, based on the type of noodle that they are consuming. The firmness of it, you know, people have different preferences depending on the type of noodle that you're eating, the size, the thickness, and the preference itself. So we're looking in some type of noodle, you're looking purely whether the noodle is firm or not firm. The other side is there's so many types of names for it, but there's chewability or elasticity or, you know, all those kinds of smoothness of the noodle when you're eating it. Those characteristics are also assessed.
The same detailed analysis took place in Cigi's baking technology area, where Yvonne Sapine estimates staff baked at least 1,000 loaves of bread of different sizes, shapes, and using different processes to get a complete picture of the crop's baking performance.
For the new crop missions, it's a lot of testing involved, pretty extensive, and we do the same thing from year to year to benchmark flour quality. So what we did was, or what we use here at Cigi, is two extreme baking processes, a short fermentation process and a long fermentation process. And that data collectively gives us a lot of information about the flour samples that we're testing. So that, like, the procedures are set, standardized from year to year, the formula is the same from year to year, everything's as consistent as possible. That way, it's the flour that's the variable for us from year to year, and we compare all the results that are generated. So those tests look at a number of things. They look at, of course, overall performance, but we start with absorption. And absorption in the bakery around the world is probably of paramount importance, along with consistency. So we look at absorption, we look at mixing times, we look at dough handling properties, fermentation tolerance in the case of the longer process, how that, you know, flour or dough stands up to the process. We look at specific volume, which is a measurement of loaf volume, and that's really important. So overall, collectively, the tests give you a really good indication of that flour/dough's ability to bake.
Cigi's wheat quality assessment was done using samples of Canada Western Red Spring, Canada Western Red Winter, Canada Prairie Spring Red, and Canada Western Amber Durum wheat. The samples were provided by the major grain companies, ensuring that test results are representative of the overall crop.
Well, this year, Cigi sourced these samples on our own with the cooperation of the major grain handling companies across the Western Prairies. They sent us regional samples from the 5 regions that we had identified, which being the East, North and South Central, and then Northwest and Southwest regions, so 5 regions in total. So they were given the instructions, they went and sourced the elevators in their region, put together a composite of that grade and class for us, and then sent it to Cigi. Then we took together all of the grade and class samples for a particular region and put together a composite from the other grain handling companies that participated. And from that, we did more extensive testing.
As Cigi's technology staff prepared to leave for their first new crop seminars in Southeast Asia in early November, they anticipated a significant number of customers to attend the presentations, a prediction that proved true during their first stops in Manila, Jakarta, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam, and is expected to continue during visits to Latin America, Europe, and North Africa. This response is testimony to the relationships Cigi has built with industry and customers over the past 40 years, says Yvonne Sapine.
We're having a formal seminar in all these countries and giving industry an opportunity to ask questions about the quality. Well, of course, we'll be delivering the new crop quality to them via this seminar, but you know, they know us from so many years where we have been visiting them, and so presenting that new crop quality. They're just going to be so pleased that we're doing this still without or in the new environment. We're going to go there and again deliver it to industry, secure those relationships, and build new relationships. We have contacts because of these types of missions and relationships that we've secured over the years. It's invaluable, really, what this type of commitment to industry has done over the years, and it's mutually rewarding and very beneficial, of course, for the farmers, because it's Canada has such a large dependence on export market.
Follow Cigi staff on Twitter as they provide updates from their stops to promote high-quality wheat from Western Canada to customers around the world.